welcome back to my channel. I have so many things to go over with you today that I actually had to make a list so that I didn't forget to go over some things. The first thing is, this is the Moda Sampler Block Shuffle, and today we are going to be working on blocks 16, 17, and 18. This is week 6, so we are definitely moving right along. I hope you're getting your patterns. Make certain that you go out to the website. There's a link below to get the patterns, and I want to make sure you get them because I can't promise you that they're going to be there forever. So please do that. The next thing I wanted to do was show you a couple of emails that I got from people that are doing the shuffle. They actually sent me in pictures of their blocks, and I could not wait to share them with you. So I'm going to insert little pictures. The first picture is from Brenda. Brenda actually lives up here close to me, and I actually quilt quite a few of her quilts. She does beautiful work. So I wanted to include her so that you guys could see how she was doing them. So there's going to be a little picture right about there. And the second picture is from a woman by the name of Sandy. Sandy has been texting or leaving messages on my YouTube channel here for quite a long time, and she kindly sent me pictures of the ones that she's working on. So I wanted you to see those too. Aren't they gorgeous? So I'm really enjoying seeing everybody's pictures. I love to see them. I like to see what everybody uses. So don't forget, go out to my website to grab your patterns. They are there. There's a couple extra patterns there this week. One of them is how we can set this quilt up, a different setting option. And I like theirs. They have them set on point, which is fantastic because a couple people have asked me how to set up a quilt on point, so I'll be able to show you that. I like theirs, but I'm not in love with it. So I actually, you're not going to be able to see it because it's in a plastic sleeve, but I've been working on how I want to set my quilt. I am going to set it on point, but I want to do a couple of different things with my borders than what they did. And they is Moda. What Moda did was they did their setting triangles so that the quilt would be set on point. And then from that, they went right to the flying geese. Well, I want something a little bit more to frame in the quilt. So I think what I'm going to do, and I don't know it for certain yet, I've got to test out some things, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small strip all the way around, then do my flying geese, then do another small strip, and then the last thing I'd like to do is another strip that will be set. It'll look like they're on the diagonal. I'm still working that out. Once I know for certain, I will let you know. I am not knee deep, I'm neck deep in Christmas quilts right now. It is the 1st of December. It's actually my sister's birthday today, but it is the 1st of December, so consequently I am trying like mad to get everybody's quilts done in time for Christmas. So once that slows down, which will be probably about the 15th of December, then I'm going to actually go ahead and work ahead of everybody and get this to the point that I'm hoping between Christmas and New Year's I can have my quilt top done so that you guys will have another option to how you want to set yours if you didn't want to do it the way Moda does. So we'll have 2 different setting options, hopefully. So that takes care of that little, I'm actually checking off on my checklist to make sure that I don't forget anything. The next thing is in January, we're going to do this again. This has been such an overwhelming success, and I have enjoyed it so much that we're going to do it again. The next one, what we're going to do is Pat Sloan's Mystery. but we're going to do it in two different, totally different colorways. The first one, we're going to use Pat Sloan's fabric, and I think you're just going to absolutely love it. It's not expected in stores until February. Well, I wanted to start in January. And there was this second color option that Pat's doing, but it was so similar to hers that I really wanted to do something totally different. So what we're going to do is one colorway is going to be in Pat's fabric, which is just beautiful. But the second colorway is going to be done in Victoria Finley Wolf's fabric, and it is to die for. I will stick a little picture up here so that you can see it. It is bright, and it is cherry, and it is flowers, and it's geometrics, and it's wonderful. It's very, very modern, which will be nice because I thought it would be good to do a little bit different. We've done a real traditional, almost primitive, or I guess it is primitive, fabrics. And next I want to try something different. I am enjoying so much getting used to working with different colors that I really wanted to do some more. So that's that. So now we're on to blocks. I gotta look again. 16, 17, and 18. 16 and 17 are pieced blocks. 18 is an applique block. Don't let that scare you. I'm going to show you a really simple, easy way to do an applique. You're going to use your You're going to use your sewing machine, and you'll get it done just as fast as you would if you were piecing it, maybe even a little bit faster. So, time for block number 16, which is, it's block 17 that's applique, not 18. Sorry about that. But number 16, this is number 16. It is made with all flying geese. We're getting really, really good at those. And this is by One Canoe 2. Yeah, One Canoe 2. This is their block. Block number 17, I still have in plastic because I wanted to put that. Block number 17 is by Jan Paddock Quilts, and this is our applique. Hopefully you can see it. And number 18 is by Lella Boutique, and it is actually just squares and half square triangles. So really, really simple. So I will do little pictures of all of my fabrics and stick those in here too so you can see my befores and after. So let's get quilting. All right, so here we go. As always, the first thing I do is just lay my block out because I want to see exactly what it's going to look like and how I do it. So that's my first step. The next thing that I have to do is I have to lay my wood. You'll have to excuse the noise in the background. We have a new dog, and a new older dog, and he is very, very vocal. So the first thing I do is lay out my little squares. So I'm going to get those all laid out. Once I lay those out, I'm going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner so I can make my geese. So I'm just going to do one set here with you on camera, and then I will do the rest of them off camera. And as always, my second block is sitting right here next to me to do that one too. So I'm going to grab my pen. Now, this is an iron pen. It's a friction, and this is going to be basically my stitching line, so I don't mind using it, and they do work really nice. So here I go. Now, when I sew this, I'm going to set it on my geese like this. Let me line it up better. And I'm going to sew from here to here. This is the fabric that I'm going to cut away. So when I sew from here to here, I'm going to not sew right on that line. I'm going to sew one thread over into the area that I'm cutting away. So I'm going to sew all of them on one side, the same side, and then I'll go back and I'll sew all of them to the other side. So I'll start by doing the right side, press them, then do the left side. And I'll come back after I've gotten them all pressed so that you can see how I did that. Okay, so here are my 2 blocks, and I've done all of my geese, and you can see that the fold, let me move it. You can see that what I've done is I sewed all of them on the right side, then I pressed it and trimmed it, and then I sewed all of them on the, first I did the right, then I did the left side, so that what happens is they're all laying in the same direction. So what I'm gonna do now is, all right, so you can see here they all are. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this into a 4 patch, which is one of the simpler blocks. And how I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna sew these two, these two, these two, and these two together. Once I have those together, then I'll sew these two and these two, and then I'll combine them all. When I press them, I'm going to try to press out towards the top. So what it'll be is pressed this way towards the top of the geese. And I'm going to try to do that on all of them. Hopefully the fabric will cooperate with me and want to go the way I want it to go. If it doesn't, I'll do something different. So I will be back to show you the piece all put together and show you how I ended up pressing it. I want to show you something that I do when I sew these together. When I go to sew these together, I'm going to lay them, they lay like this, okay? So what I'm going to do is take them and flip them over, put them on top of one another, line them up, but when I sew it, I'm going to make sure I'm sewing on this side. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to make certain that when I sew, I'm crossing right over at the X. X marks the spot that we want our thread to hit. Because what that will do is if we can hit that spot with our needle, then we'll get really, really nice points on our flying geese. So we'll see how I do. You never know. I took a couple of still shots of this block, but I figured if I was stopping to take still shots, I really needed to tape this for you. So when I pressed the blocks, you can see here are my 2 pieces I sewed together. I was able to press them towards the most open block. Fantastic. And because of the way the block's set up, what happened is, you know, they're gonna nestle nice. So here's my 2 blocks. This is how it lays. This seam is pressed this way. This seam is pressed this way. I'm gonna turn them over, and you can see right here, we've got that little, the base of the flying geese. So I'm gonna nestle these again, like I taught you to nestle before. And I'm gonna stick a pin in there and just see where I'm at, see how close I am. And I'm gonna stick the pin right at the crossroads there. And then I can take it apart, and I am off by just a little bit. So I'm gonna work at that, try to get it lined up a little bit better. But that's how I'm going to line this center up to put all 4 of these together, because we do have quite a bit of bulk right there, and we wanna be careful about it. When I pin it, I'm gonna put 1 pin on this side, then I'm gonna put a secondary pin on this side once I find my center good, then I'll stitch it. Here are my 2 blocks, and I'm happy with them. They're okay, not bad. Did I lose any points? Let's see. I almost lost that one. And this one's a little bit extra right here. But for the most part, I'm really happy with them. They're fine. When I pressed it, remember how I was telling you that I pressed it towards these? When I got to the center, I had to do my little twirl. So there were a couple of stitches right here. I took those out so that when I opened it up to press it, I could press this one to this block and this side to this block so that they would lay just a little bit flatter, kind of cut down a little bit on the bulk. So this is block number 16 by 1 Canoe 2. All right, we're working on block number 17 now, which is applique. This is Jan Paddock Quilts design, and it's a bird with a wing and 3 stars. You have a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can do needle turn applique, which is a hand stitch. You could do buttonhole applique, which is a hand stitch. You can do machine applique, which is a machine stitch, or machine straight stitch, which is also a machine stitch. If you're doing buttonhole hand applique, buttonhole machine applique, or buttonhole straight stitch applique, you're going to want to have what's called a fusible interfacing to attach your piece of applique to the fabric so that it doesn't move around as you're working with it. I'm using a product that's called Steam-A-Seam 2, and it's the light Steam-A-Seam. And what this does is it has 2 pieces of paper, and in between the 2 pieces of paper is a really light fusible, it's almost like an interfacing that you attach it to. All right, so I have my paper. For ease of using, I'm just gonna cut off a chunk of it so that I've got it. And it just makes it easier to do it. I am gonna double check because one of my pieces seems to be coming off easier than the other piece. All right, my fusible is sticking to this side. So I'm gonna take my paper and I'm gonna lay it over my star, and I'm just gonna trace my star. Real simple. This is a real primitive design, so we really want it, we don't want a perfectly even star. We want it kind of a little bit wonky, or we want it to look primitive. Okay, so there's my star. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim away some of this excess paper with my paper scissors, only because I don't wanna use up any more fabric than what I have to. This paper, I'm not concerned about wasting a little bit of it, but I don't wanna waste any of my precious fabric. So I'm gonna trim that stuff away. Now I'm gonna get my piece of fabric, and I'm going to flip it over, and on my wrong side, I'm gonna press my star down. Okay, so there's my star. I'm gonna remove the piece that I don't want, and I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna lay it like that, and I'm gonna press it down, and then I'll be back. All right, so I've pressed it down to the wrong side of my fabric, okay? Here's the right side, here's the wrong side. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it again, but now I'm cutting it on the line. I'm not cutting it around, I'm cutting it, well, on the line or close to the line. Remember, this piece is kind of primitive, so we don't want it too perfect, because then it won't look primitive. And that's no fun. extra hanging there. Let's see if I can get rid of it. I'm going to do this with all of my pieces, and once I have all of my pieces cut and ready to be affixed to my background fabric, I will come back at that point and show you what your next step is. But there's my first piece cut, and that's what it's going on. Okay, boy, I hope that's a good color choice. What do you think? Can you see it? Oh, I don't know. I may have messed up again. Well, we may have to do something different. Maybe I'll use it on that piece. That's another good thing about doing 2 blocks. So if you don't like it on one, you can try it on another one. So I'll be back when I have all my pieces ready. I've got both of my blocks here, and you probably can see that I've made some changes. So let's see, I'm going to take all this off because I want you to see the options. This is how they have their block set. So you've got to make certain that you've got it on point. And on point means just like this. It's on point. So here's my little bird. And I'm trying to think how the best way to place them is. You can place them any way you want to. It's yours. But there's my bird, and then here is my wing. Now I think that is about where I want my wing. I'm gonna make a little trim. I've got a little bit of a point there, and I want to make it a little bit rounder. So here's my bird on point. And there's his wing, and you kind of want his wing to curve up a little, I would think. I'm trying to see if that's the best place to put him. I kind of like it. Okay. And then my stars. Now, I've had a terrible time with the stars only because this is the original color. Well, first I had picked this color. And if you look at it on the fabric, well, can you... Yeah, you really can't see them. So here I go again, right? So then I thought, okay, well, I had this fabric originally picked out, but look, you still can't see it. I mean, it's there, but it's not really, you're not really like, boom, seeing it. So I went back to the drawing board, which I'm getting good at, and I decided to make my stars out of the same fabric that the wing is out of. And I'm okay with it. Now, I'm going to place the stars around. I'm not really paying attention to where the pattern has them. I'm going to put them where I want them. So I think that's about where it's going to be, maybe. So the next step is I'll take it over to the pressing table, and I'm going to remove the other the paper back, the other piece, put them down, and fuse them. And I'm going to do that with both of them. I have switched to Aurifil thread number 2370. And what I'm going to do is, this is the color. I'll show you. There's the color. Let's see if you can see a little bit better back there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch this entire piece using that thread. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower my needle right where I want it. And where I want it is, I'll take it out and show it to you. Where I want that needle to be is right on the edge here. Right next to the edge of my fabric. So I'm talking about maybe an 1/8, if not a 1/16 of an inch. And the reason I want it so close is because I actually don't want my long arm thread, my long arm head, to catch it and rip it up when I'm quilting it. So here I go. I'm right next to that edge. And I'm just going to top stitch it down. And that's all I'm going to do on all of these pieces to give it the finish that I want it, is I'm just going to top stitch it. And you can see, yeah, I'm moving really, really slow, but that's okay. I'm just taking my time. And I'm just gonna top stitch it all the way around. When I get to the point of this feather, you can see I'm in the needle down position. I'm just gonna pick it up. I wanna clip that thread because I don't want that getting caught back in there. Okay. Let me get that out of there. There we go. Okay. Just gonna come to the point, put my presser foot back down, and just keep right on going. And here I go. And I'm going to continue past my starting point just by a couple of stitches to kind of lock that in. And my bird feather is all done. And I want to show you the back of this one too. Except I got to get my extra threads out of there. Remember, I didn't cut, I had a little bit of extra bobbin thread. And it came, you can see it came up in the back. See? I'm just going to trim that off. So here's the back of my feather, or my wing. And here is the front of my wing. I'm going to go ahead and do that to all my pieces, to both pieces, and then I'll come back and show you what they look like when they're done. I have completed block number 17. And here's one. And here is my second block. So here comes the next one. I'm gonna lay it out. It's pretty simple. It's half square triangles. We've got 4 half square triangles and the rest are just squares. So I'll get them laid out and let you see what they look like. All right, so here's the layout of our block. And we are going to make half square triangles a different way than what we've been doing it. We've been drawing a line and sewing on the line. What we're gonna do this time is we're gonna draw a line. I'm not on camera. Okay, we're gonna draw a line from here to here. And then we're gonna sew 1/4 of an inch on each side and we're gonna cut on our line. Now, with this method, I always find that I have to trim my block, which is fine. We'll trim the block. But I also want to warn you, you want to do a scant 1/4 inch, okay? So if my drawn line's here, I'm going to want to do closer to the center than to the outside because I need a 2-inch square out of this and a 2-inch square out of this. I need 4, okay? So my first job is to go through these and draw a line down the center. Then I'm gonna sew one up for you right now so that you can see what I'm talking about. And the good thing is that still have that darker thread on here. So you should be able to see it a little bit easier. I'm not gonna change my thread quite yet. So they tell you you're going to sew 1/4 of an inch from that seam, and or from the drawn line, and I am sewing less than 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to do one side, turn it around, and I would normally use one of my plugs, one of my enders or beginners, but I'm not going to in this case because I really want to show you right away before I start putting this all together how close my seam is, or my stitching lines. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'll show it to you just a second. I want to clip my threads. I've always got threads. All right, so now you can see my drawn line, okay? And then you can see that those are really close. It's not 1/4 of an inch. I'm gonna then cut it right down the side, center. I'm gonna take it over to the ironing board. I'm gonna set my seam and press it open. I'm gonna come right back. All right, so now I have my 2 half square triangles. I'm gonna take the dog ears off. throw those down into the garbage. Then I'm going to take my ruler, and I want to show you what I meant. These are supposed to be 2-inch squares, and you can see I'm over. And that's okay because I want to trim these down so that I've got my perfect 2-inch squares. Because for some reason, I always have a tough time keeping these totally square. So I'm gonna sew all my half square triangles, this method. I'm gonna square them up, and then I'm gonna come back and show you how I'm gonna put my block. So this is how these are going together. I'm gonna sew these two, these two, these two, these two. Then I'm gonna sew these, and these. I'm gonna go press them, and I'll press this row to this side, this row to this side, this row to this side, and this row to this side. Then I'll add these two together, these two together, and then all 4 rows together. And I will be back with our block number 18 done. Blocks number 18 is all done. So there are the 2 different colorways. And I wanted to show you what I did when I pressed this one. On one of them I pressed it, 2 of them to one side and the other one to the other. I was pressing and I just turned it around and ended up pressing it like that. And it lays perfectly flat, there's no problem with it. The other one I pressed it all to one side, and that one also is laying pretty flat. So you can press it either way. It's up to you, whatever, however you end up pressing it. All right, so that concludes week 6 of our Moda Sampler Block Shuffle. And our blocks this week were, One Canoe was the first designer. It's block number 16. And here are my 2 blocks. See them together. Block number 17 is by Jan Paddock Quilts. And here's one block. Whoops, my bird's upside down. There's my other block. And there's the 2 of them. You also can do zigzag. So in it, I mentioned you could do straight stitch, you can do buttonhole, you could also do a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. I just tend to do the straight stitch. So that's block number 17. And block number 18 is by Lull Boutique. And here's one colorway. And here's the second colorway. All right. So we have concluded this week. I want to make sure that I tell you everything that I'm supposed to tell you. Next week we'll be doing 3 more blocks. We also do need to get flying geese started. So start thinking about your scraps, but don't do what I did and start really cutting up all your scraps until you've got your blocks done, because I was almost out of one colorway that I wanted for a particular block. So we will be doing flying geese soon. I had hoped to do it this week, but it might be next week. So we've got flying geese that we need to do. Start thinking about if you want to set your block the way Moda did. Go get the setting instructions that are on my website so that you can get a hold of those and decide if that's how you want to set your quilt. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're enjoying doing this as much as I am. Don't forget to subscribe so that you get notification whenever I upload a video. And that's it. Thanks. Have a great day.